Brock, this is my song.
Send me how me work. Where's my phone?
What? Oh, yeah. What's going on, buddy? Today's episode of The Burn Down. Did you know that podcasts were actually downtrending in 2022, entering 2023?
Not us. Stay tuned. It's The Burn Down.
What?
What's going on, everybody? What's going on, everybody? I cut Justin off.
It's all right. I cut you off plenty of times.
Guys, gals, welcome back to the Burn Down Podcast. I'm Eric, a.k.a. Brother Cigar. This gentleman across the way is Justin, a.k.a. Dapper Cigar, a.k.a. the German motherfucking missile, baby. The German missile.
That's a great nickname.
It's one of the best, and it originated on my fucking bachelor party, and it will stick with you for the rest of your life.
I don't know. It's fantastic.
I love it.
Fantastic.
I mean, you're a big guy. You're fucking German.
The German
fucking
missile.
German missile, baby. Let's go.
If you're new to this channel, please hit the like button. Please hit the subscribe button. Please hit the bell. Check out our website, burndownpodcast.com. Become a member, $5 a month. Exclusive discounts and monthly members-only giveaways. We give away cigars, spirits, accessories, and more. Plus, you get 15% code to our cigar, The Blueprint. That's the first installment on the Burn Down Podcast as far as cigars go.
Baby, exclusive.
And then if you're listening, if you're an audiophile, please like, subscribe, follow, share. You know the drill.
You know what? Why do we say audiophile? Why don't we just say if you're an audio listener?
Because that's what an audiophile is.
I know, but it's such a technical term. But the person,
I thought you liked extensive vocabulary.
But the person listening isn't an audiophile. You know, if you're
it could be
because we say if you're an audiophile.
Well, that's like my thing because if you
that's my thing.
If you like to listen to things over watching them, then you prefer audio version over video, so you're an audiophile.
If you're an audiophile, aka an audio listener,
could be a video file.
Could be a video file. Whatever file you are,
right? That means you're into audio.
Or you're into
right.
Video.
File means like you have a liking for.
It's just funny how it sounds.
I know, because it kind of sounds like pedophile. And
you're a pedophile. I mean, audiophile.
You know.
Give us 5 stars for being a pedophile.
So we already have cigars lit because we were doing a couple shorts. We were doing a couple reels. I had a couple of work calls I had to take.
But more importantly, we just submitted our 50% deposit for...
Oh, yes, the next production.
More Blueprint cigars.
Okay, we'll talk about that really quick. So believe it or not, so we had 5,000 cigars, okay, which in the grand scheme of the cigar industry is a very limited run.
Ain't shit.
Okay, it's a very small run, but we started off small, okay, 5,000 cigars, and we're sold out already.
But for 2 guys out of a pool house who turned it into a podcast studio, that's a lot of motherfucking cigars.
So now we got the next one in, and we start sampling the mild ones. So
we're going to start doing that.
Which, you know, if everything works out well, when it's supposed to, that might be the next release at the end of this year. So, I'm smoking currently, this is a Don Pepin Garcia, original, the blue label one. Love this stick. Actually, you know who likes this stick too? Shout out to, George Laboda, aka Atlas and Mason.
Oh.
One of his favorite sticks is the Don Pepin original. I think it's a classic. Is that what it is? Yeah, no, the original, not classic. The original.
The original, yeah.
Lancero. He likes the Lancero. So
I'm smoking an Avo Classic.
That's a classic.
And speaking of classic, I was watching on Hulu last night, Undercover Boss, right?
You like that show, man.
I love Undercover Boss. You know why? Because the endings are so... Well,
first off, cheers to the episode.
Cheers, chin chin solid.
Cheers to the episode.
Right?
We don't have the leather on here. It makes a ting ting now.
The chin chin. So recently we go to bed Kitchen Nightmares with Chef Gordon Ramsay.
Kitchen Nightmares? Gordon Ramsay's a fucking savage.
I think it was his first reality show.
Savage.
And it's actually pretty funny.
Have you ever seen the Key and Peele spoof of that? Oh, it's fucking great.
So he's like the what's his face from Bar Rescue? John what's his name?
Oh, John Taffer.
Shout
out to John Taffer, a fellow cigar smoker. Got to get him on the show, man.
We need
Shut it down.
In this case, Ben Gordon Ramsay is shutting it down. So he
is that what it is? Like it's basically like a John Taffer, but with
100%.
Oh, okay.
And it's really funny because the first couple episodes were on Long Island. One was right in Babylon. You know where the post office is?
In Babylon? Oh, yes, I do.
Post office?
Yes.
It was the restaurant right next door.
Oh, you meant like the bar of the post office. Yeah. Or do you mean like the actual Babylon?
Well, it's the post office. It's a restaurant, but it's also a bar.
No, I know, but it's called the post office.
Yes.
Yeah.
I thought, yeah, my bad.
I was like, wait a second.
Wait, the USPS in Babylon?
The USPS or the post office? So people that don't know, there's a bar or restaurant called the post office.
In Babylon, New York. But the very first episode was the restaurant right next to the post office. And it's this big Italian guy. And, they portray it like, he's trying to be a gangster. He spends all his money on suits, this and that. Ended up actually being, if you Google the actual episode, he ended up actually being a fucking mobster. He was like, because the whole episode, he owes like a lot of gambling debts. So all these guys are in the middle of the episode, coming here to collect, and he's fucking freaking out, going off on these guys. So if you Google all the episodes, he was actually he did a lot of not racketeering. What do you call it? What's the gambling in the fucking mob? Whatever. He was involved in gambling. So
yeah, I think it's in
gambling. So it was a different term. But anyways, regardless, he was in the mob, and it was actually pretty funny.
That's actually funny because that reminds me of when I was in high school. I was working at a pizzeria, and we were convinced that the guy who owned the pizzeria was involved with the mob because people would always show up to the pizza. Like he had cameras, right? So he'd be in the back. And he would look in his office in the camera, and he'd come up, and he'd be like, he goes, hey, I'm not here. He goes, I'm not here. I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, guys, come in. I'm not here. I go, okay. All right. So then some guy would come in, hey, is so-and-so around? I go, nah, he's not here. And it would happen all the time. Or he'd see a guy come in, and he would bounce out the back door, and
no, I'm not here.
So I go, me and my buddy's like, what the fuck? You put two and two together, this motherfucker's probably owes somebody some money and they didn't want to pay. Said you gotta be careful because somebody's waiting in the back when you slip out. Bing bop boop.
You're done.
You're paying that someone one way or another, either cash or limbs.
So it's actually, anything about Long Island, I love watching it. So it was funny. The first episode was on Long Island, was in Babylon, and but anyway, so we were watching Kitchen Nightmares, which basically there's these these restaurants that are completely either the decor is terrible, the food is terrible, it's not making money. Gordon Ramsay comes in and whips everybody into shape, and the shit he says is because there's no salt, there's no. He just says it how it is. There's
lots of salt, no sugar.
Yeah, 100%. There's an episode on Jersey. They wanted to bring Florida to New Jersey, so the girl liked flamingos, but she also liked Florida, so it was called flamingos or some shit, and it was all Florida decor inside. So Gordon Ramsay walks in, he's like, who decorated this? And she's like, oh, my daughter did. And he goes, was she drunk when she did this?
Yeah, he's just dude, he's ruthless. Have you ever seen the tweets where people will make something and they'll take a picture of it and tweet it to Gordon Ramsay and say hey, rate my dish? And Gordon Ramsay tweets back with just ripping the dish. Yes. And the whole idea is they know that they're going to get
ripped on.
But he sends back the funniest fucking shit. I love it.
So we went off on a tangent, but I was saying, speaking of classic, so we've been watching Kitchen Nightmares recently, and then I was like, let's switch it up. Let's watch Undercover Boss. So we're going through it, and who do I see? Former BDP guest Armando Montalongo.
No way.
So yeah, he was on and which we knew he went Undercover Boss, but I never actually seen the episode. And it goes into his whole. He has a multiple Armando Montalongo companies. He owns a bunch of different companies, so he goes undercover, and it's hilarious. So I messaged him this morning, and I was like, "Yo, just watched your episode on Undercover Boss. We need you back on." He's like, "I'm ready whenever. Just let me know."
Yo, that's fucking great.
So funny.
That is great.
So shout out to Armando Montalongo.
You gotta watch the spoof from Key and Peele. It's Keegan-Michael Key and Jordan Peele, and Keegan-Michael Key is pretending to be Gordon Ramsay, and then Jordan Peele is the chef. And the whole idea is that Gordon Ramsay, he'll rip you apart, but then he builds you back up, but then he rips you apart, and he builds. And it's Keegan-Michael Key talking to Jordan Peele as if he was Gordon Ramsay, and rips him apart, and then Jordan Peele goes, he goes, "I'm sorry, chef." And then he'll say something. He goes, "Thank you, chef." And then he'll say something. He goes, "I'm sorry, chef." And he goes back and forth. But the way that he does it, it's fucking hysterical. Because that's how Gordon Ramsay is.
Yeah.
He goes, if you made this in my restaurant, he goes, I would throw you out. And he goes, "I'm sorry, chef." He goes, because it's the best thing that I've ever seen. He goes, thank you, chef. He goes, and I would be amazed that you wouldn't cook something so terrible. I'm sorry, chef. Like, and he just goes back and forth. It's fucking great.
The famous thing with him is he takes the 2 pieces of bread and like puts it in the girl's head, and he goes, "What are you?" She goes, "I'm an idiot sandwich." "What are you?" "I'm an idiot sandwich."
Anyway, so all right, podcasts.
So shout out to Francis Volpe of Why Not You Media.
Yes,
the company who actually made the Blueprint logo. He posted a video that caught my eye, and I said we should talk about this on the podcast.
You know who else posted that video? It was Gary Vaynerchuk.
You're right. Bring it back. I first saw it on Gary Vaynerchuk.
That's right.
I sent it to you. Yeah, I sent it to you.
And then Francis posted
posted on it. So shout out to Gary Vaynerchuk.
And then shout out to Francis. He just did he was doing 100 push-ups a day for 30 days. You see that?
Yes, I have.
And I think at the time this is released, he would have completed it. He's only got 2 days left, so he's going to complete it.
No doubt.
That's awesome.
That's pretty sweet.
Shout
I mean, you should be, I don't know if you're coming.
Next Tuesday.
Yeah, next Tuesday. We're meeting up. Tony, Francis.
Yeah.
So, meeting of the minds, baby. But it made me want to talk about it on the podcast.
On a podcast.
And it's this article from The Verge, and it's titled, "New Podcast Creation Has Fallen Off a Cliff. The number of new shows that debuted in 2022 was down 80% since 2020.
So they're saying the number of new shows created in 2022 was down 80% since 2020.
I can give you a big reason why.
So that means in 2020, if there's like 100,000 shows created, in 2022 it was only 20,000 shows.
Sick. Wow. That's a huge jump.
Wow.
Right? And I mean, it's just because, obviously, one reason, everyone was home during COVID.
Well, yeah, and I think they talk about that in the article.
So, yeah. So,
nobody had anything else to do, so they created shows.
So, I mean, just like some cliff notes here. Yeah, people are launching way fewer podcasts. And some of it can be attributed to the pandemic. So, let's see here. So, in 2019, 330, including us, we were launched a podcast in 2019. 337,000.
But that was before the pandemic.
Yeah, so in 2019.
Yeah.
So podcasts will launch in 2019 were the amount of 337,000 and 337,000
63,
63,
excuse me.
Compared to 278,000.
219,178.
Why can't I read numbers right now?
I don't know.
Anyway, 220,000 in 2022.
So it's 330,000 in 2019 and 220,000 in...
Yeah.
Okay.
So, listening notes logged 26.1 million new episodes published in 2022, up from 18.1 million episodes in 2019. So, there were less podcasts released since 2019,
So less podcasts created.
Less podcasts created, more episodes.
But more episodes
published.
of the existing ones.
Yes. Which is pretty wild to see. And, I mean, I just thought that was a staggering amount. And I feel like that goes across the board about a lot of different things.
So what do you... So hold on a second. So what do you think that means? Because if you go right off the bat, right off the rip, right off the cuff, somebody comes to me and says, hey, in 2022, the podcasting... the number of shows created is down 80%. Right off the bat, I'm thinking, shit, podcasts are like, that's no bueno for podcasts. Like, if you have a podcast, it's no bueno. But then it says, but the number of episodes are increasing. So it's saying that there are not so many new shows, but more episodes are being created.
So, and what I take from that is that the podcasts that have been created are still out there publishing episodes like the Burn Down podcast every Friday, consistently.
And there's another article we pulled up that has a bunch of statistics. I'm not sure where you're getting your statistics from. We have an article about podcast statistics. We've talked about this previously on the podcast, but this is good because it shows the different regions, and certain regions prefer mobile, certain regions prefer YouTube. Good thing we're on both.
Shout out.
There was a strong statistic in there saying that, and I think hopefully maybe you can read it off. There's something along the lines of the number of Americans that listen on a weekly basis.
Yeah, that is okay here.
Because it broke it down from number of Americans that say they have listened to a podcast. Then it said number of Americans that listen on a monthly basis, and then number of Americans that listen on a weekly.
Yeah, so I'll go down the list here. So this is from Influencer Marketing Hub, 23 podcast statistics you should know in 2023. So right now, globally, there's 2.4 million podcasts. To put that in a better perspective, 3 years ago, there were about a quarter of that.
So hold on. So
do the math.
So hold on. There's 2.4 million shows.
Correct. Podcasts globally around the whole wide world.
So now this is going to be a very crude statistic because some shows will have one person doing it. Some shows will have two people. Yeah. Some shows have four. So figure 2.4 million shows divided by, what is there, 7 billion, 8 billion people on the planet?
I think 8 billion sounds right.
So that means that it's 0.03%. So 0.03% of the people on this planet are involved in podcasts. Have a podcast.
What is it? 0.03%?
0.3%? 0.03%.
0.03%.
So yeah, because you said there's 2.4 million shows.
Yeah.
Divided by 8 billion people.
Yeah. You know what?
Times 100 is 0.03%. Now again, that's a rough statistic because that just means that there's 2.4 million shows and there's 8 billion people. So that means if every show was done by one person,
you're right. 7.8 billion people.
If every show was done by one person, that means you'd have 2.4 million people doing podcasts and 8 billion people on the planet. It's 0.03% of the planet do podcasts. Not listen to, create.
Yeah.
Put out the podcast content. Again, it's probably less than that because, for instance, this show is done by 2 people. So right off the bat, it's not 1 for 1. So it's probably even less. I would probably say it's maybe half that. So it's like 100%.
So where are you incorporating the people per podcast? Where is that coming from?
Well, I was just saying that it says 2.4 million podcasts.
Yeah.
Shows.
Yep.
Individual shows. And there's 8 billion people. So if you were to do every show was done by one person,
I get what you're saying.
That means the percentage of the planet that actually puts out podcasts
I get
is 0.03%.
Sure.
But it's less than that because it's not 1 for 1. If you do 2 for 1, if every show is done by 2 people, then it's half that. It's 1.005%. So it's a very, very, very small percentage of the planet that creates podcast material.
That's it. Now let's get into the more finite numbers. Ready?
This is my brain is a numbers brain.
I know.
So you start talking statistics.
This is why I get you.
I love analyzing it and breaking it down.
This is why I wanted to talk about it because you get jazzed up when this
it's
stuff
like
goes on.
I love doing it because the more ways that you can break it down and analyze it, the easier it is to wrap your brain around how significant those numbers are. Like, for instance, the difference between a million, a billion, and a trillion. Most people don't really understand it. But when you break it down into time, so if you do a million seconds is I think it's 12 days. Okay? A billion seconds, I think is 37 years or something like that. And then a trillion seconds is 37,000 years. So it's the difference between a million and a billion.
Crazy amount.
If you spent $1 a second, it would take you 12 days to spend $1 million. But if you spent $1 a second, it would take you 37 years to spend $1 billion. And that's people don't, once you say it like that, you go, oh fuck, that's a big difference between a million and a billion. So when you hear these people that are worth $150 billion.
Yeah. All right. You can spend, so, I don't even know how much a day.
It's a lot. That's why I really like to analyze it because it's.
Well, that's why I did it, to get you jazzed up.
Oh, yeah.
So at the end
bricked up right now.
Bricked up, baby. So according to.
Say that?
Bricked up. I'm bricked up right now, baby.
Right now. All right.
So according to Demand Sage, it's estimated that by the end of 2022, there were 424 million podcast listeners across the world.
420 million?
424 million podcast listeners.
Okay, divide. Let me see that.
So,
so that's 5% of the world listens to podcasts.
That's crazy, bro. Only 5%.
Well, now granted, there's probably some areas of the planet that don't have access to it.
Yeah, which is even smaller.
But 5% of But so okay, so if there's certain areas of the planet that don't have access to podcasting, okay, third world countries that don't have access, that means the percentage of people that do have access is much higher, right? Because if 8 billion of the people on this planet, if 3 billion of them don't have access, now this number is more like 10, 11, 12% of people.
I would love to know that. So if you want to talk about Americans that are aware of podcasts...
Do you think we can Google that?
What's that?
Percentage of the planet that doesn't have access to internet?
Yeah, I mean, that sounds like a very Googleable,
right?
Googleable
percentage
question
of the planet
that has internet access.
It's
actually... I never actually thought about that.
Holy shit, okay. Dude, literally exactly what I said. What'd I say? If 3 billion people don't have access, this one says 5 billion people around the world use internet. So that means 3 billion don't.
That's crazy.
Okay, so 5 billion. So now what's that number that you said? How many people listen?
424 million podcast listeners around the world.
424. Now it's divided by 5 billion. There you go. It's 8%. So 8.5% of people that have access to internet listen to podcasts.
Damn.
It's wild because
how would you break it down? So how would we break down like our monthly downloads to that?
I mean, okay. So out of the 420, I mean, I don't know how you would do that. Yeah. I mean, we have individual listeners. So this is 8.5% of the planet listens to. All right, what's our monthly?
Let's maybe we might be
do it when we get to the monthly one. We'll do the monthly one because then we'll know percentage of America.
So 79% of Americans are aware of podcasts.
This is good. This is good, man.
Considering in 2006, just over 20% of the adult population in the U.S. knew about podcasts, which is what, almost 20 years ago?
20 fucking years ago, 2006?
Well, what is that?
17 fucking years.
Yeah, crazy. Now
Good God.
Good God, y'all. So fast forward 16 years, vast majority, 79%. Okay, have caught on. This works out to an estimated 226 million Americans who are familiar with podcasts. This one stat is 90% of Australians are aware of podcasts.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, Australia, I mean, a lot of people, I feel like, don't realize it. It took me a long time to realize that. Australia is like the size of the United States.
It's fucking huge.
It's huge. I never knew that. I thought...
Oh, man, dude, you can feel the difference because I have an old version. Yeah. I have the proto version. You have the new one.
Got that good burn down.
That new click is nice.
Let's see here. All right, so 62% of U.S. consumers listen to podcasts. So the number of podcast listeners has steadily increased during the past 8 years, while it only increased from 57% to 62% in the past year. It has doubled the last 10 years. So nearly 180 million Americans have listened to podcasts. So it's
180 million Americans have listened to a podcast.
It's almost about half because there's more than half. There's 332 million Americans.
Yeah, so if it was 360, it would be half.
Yeah.
So it's more than half have listened to at least one episode.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's estimated that 177 million U.S. citizens older than 12 have listened to a podcast. That equates to 62% of the U.S. population.
So what percentage of the population listens on a monthly basis?
If you got any listeners or watchers on here, if you're in Ireland, you are the highest usage of podcasts, which equates to, let's see here, 46% of the population of Ireland use a podcast in the last month. So almost half the population of Ireland.
Okay, so I think the number was like a quarter that listen in America.
Let's see. 68% of people listen to a whole episode. 38% of the U.S. population listens to a podcast on a monthly basis.
Okay, and then it was 25% for weekly?
And then 26% of the U.S. population listens to a podcast on a weekly basis.
All right, so go to that monthly number. So how much is it that of Americans listen on a monthly basis?
38%.
And there's how many people in America?
332 million.
332 million.
I looked it up earlier today.
Times 38%. So 126 million Americans listen to podcasts on a monthly basis. How many monthly listeners do we have?
Well, we get around
20,000?
No, monthly downloads?
Yeah.
No. We get less than that.
10,000?
No, it's like 5,500.
5,500, but that's just on the okay. So
That's a month.
So a month. So
we're giving you guys insider info.
5,500 divided by 126 million times. So it's gonna be very, very small.
Yeah,
so we have 0.004% that listen to us.
Even if we had 1%, it'd be sick.
I mean, 1% is 126,000 people.
Yeah, it's Joe Rogan shit, baby.
Dude, well, that's what I'm saying. But the thing about now, but here's the thing: how many podcasts are there? Right?
2
What did they say? 2-something million?
2.4 million globally. I think in that I had another sheet. I think it said how many. Let me see here. 8 podcasts are listened to per week. 73% podcasts are listened on mobile phones. Let's see here.
I mean,
what about this? What can we just figure out the? Oh no, it wouldn't tell us the number.
So we're just doing like of the amount of people that listen to podcasts on a monthly basis. What percentage of that do we have? And it's 0.004%. So it's very, very small.
Yeah, I'm sure
but compared to the majority of podcasts majority of podcasts don't get and they'll get maybe a couple of listeners a month.
Yeah, I know. I think we did that. I
wonder what it is. Average. Yeah, let's see. Average number of listens.
We did that. We did that one stat when we had Beck Lover on. He showed us that one website where it gives us the percentile of where we are in overall podcasts. Shout out to Beck Lover for showing this.
Oh yeah, we were good.
I have that in here. So let's see here.
Why can't I search it right now?
This is a little bit while ago. Hold on, I'll pull it up in a second. Here we go. So this is what website is this? This is we're top 3% of the global rank in podcasts, but I need to.
Yeah.
So I got to figure out
top 3% globally.
Yeah. What website is that though? That is.
I'm looking up right here. I'm going to look up what the average...
okay. So this is a popular website. Listeningnotes.com, right? So listen...
I don't know why I can't. I have to get off of the internet.
So anyone who does a podcast, go to listennotes.com and you can see where you rank. Here, listennotes.com. So you just type in a podcast, the Burndown Podcast.
So it says, yeah. So here you go. So this one just says, how many downloads is good for a podcast? It just says, to be considered in the top 20% of podcasts, your episode needs to get 1,000 downloads in 30 days. So 1,000 a month. And we get more than 5 times that.
Yeah. So here you go. What is global rank? This podcast is one of the top 3 most popular shows out of 3,022,887 podcasts.
Top 3%?
Yeah, that's what according to Listening Notes globally.
Okay, so how many episodes? How many globally?
So this
3 million what?
3 million.
Yeah.
22,887.
3,022,887. And then times that by we're 3%. Yeah. So we're in the top 100,000. So out of the 3 million, we're in the top 90-something thousand.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's see here. Listening score. What's listening score? Listening score is a metric that shows the estimated popularity of this podcast compared to other RSS-based public podcasts. In the world, on a scale from 0 to 100, the higher, the more popular. Okay, so we're 34 out of 100.
So wild. Okay, this is something. This is from
This is all new information to us.
This is from TrueList.co. I just pulled up some other stuff, and it says the most profitable podcast made $30 million in 2019. And if you could take a guess who it was.
I don't know. Joe Rogan?
Yeah, it was, of course.
No, I know.
And then it says 20 to 40 minutes is the largest podcast category. Under a third, 31% of podcasts last between 20 and 40 minutes. 30% are shorter than that. 14% last between 10 and 20 minutes. 15% last less than 15 minutes. 21% of podcasts are 40 to 60 minutes. So we're in the large majority of podcasts. We're in a good realm.
Yeah, it's sick.
Of podcasts.
Out of 3 million something podcasts, according to Listening Notes, we're in the top 90,000.
Yeah, we're in the top 3% of all podcasts on the planet.
Yeah, buddy. That's pretty dope.
But I was trying to see what's the the average number. So here we go. The most successful podcast. Okay. So it says, podcast industry statistics show that an episode with 9,000 downloads across multiple streaming platforms earns a place in the top 5% of podcasts.
Okay.
So making the top should gain approximately 34. Okay. The average podcast, here it is, perfect. The average podcast, however, earns only 141 downloads in the first month.
Really? Average podcast earns 141 downloads in the first month.
In the first month.
That's one episode.
It says, no, in a month. The average podcast gets 141 downloads a month.
Okay, so that's not episodes. It's just overall downloads.
Overall downloads.
Where we get...
North of 5,000?
Yeah. Damn.
Well, that's what I wanted to know is how, out of all of the podcasts, and it's probably skewed, there's a lot that get zero, but I wanted to say, I wonder if you can take out the outliers, like take out Joe Rogan, who gets fucking hundreds of thousands, and then take out some of the lower ones, just the mean, like or the median. What's the median? That would be a better one. I wonder if it has it. Median
Here, look that up.
number of monthly podcast downloads. Median number of okay. Yeah, so it says 141.
So that's globally. So we're at top 3% globally. I wonder where we are.
Perfect. Here's the podcast host. Average podcast downloads. What's good gauge for my podcast? Perfect.
Does it give you a number of the amount of podcasts that are based in the United States?
Okay.
I'll try and find that.
I want to see, I want to get the actual...
I have a fucking major headache.
You do?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. This is within 7 days.
How many?
All right, so within 7 days, right? So if you get more than 30 downloads within the first week of publishing an episode, you're in the if you get... All right, so this is if your new episode gets within 7 days of the release. If you get more than 30 downloads, you're in the top 50%.
We get that.
Okay, if you get more than 100 downloads, you're in the top 25%.
We get that.
We get that. Because we get about what? Like 1,500?
A first week? We're
1,000, right?
No, first week we get anywhere between, depends on episode, we get anywhere between like 350 and 700.
Well, I was going to say, if we get 5,000 a month, and we have 4 episodes a month, and typically people listen to the episode, and then once we drop a new episode, then
I'm not including like older episodes. Like people listen to older episodes. I'm going like
so that's why I said it's about 1,000 because 1,000 an episode is 4,000 a month.
Yeah,
so we get about 1,000. So if you get more than 400 downloads, you're in the top 10%. If you get more than 975 downloads, you're in the top 5%. And if you get more than 4,588 downloads, you're in the top 1% of podcasts.
So we're in the top 5%.
So it looked us up, top 3%, which is accurate. Because this one's saying if you get more than 975, we get 1,000, 1,100, something like that.
Yeah.
And that site said that we're in the top 3%.
But that's going globally.
Well, this is just from...
You know what I mean? I'm sure, I want to know what it is, like, United States. Like, how many podcast shows are in the United States?
Dude, I like this.
I know.
It's interesting, right? Very interesting. We're at 35 minutes already.
That's it. I don't know. I don't know if you can find. I don't know if you can find that. There's got to be a statistic of how many. There's got to be like how many podcasts per country, like hosts.
I would say America. Well, they said Australia has the most listeners. But what country has the most? Just Google it.
I just tried. I mean, without taking any time away.
What country has the most podcasts? The United States leads the globe in podcast listenership in all categories.
Yeah. Here we go. This is just a random fact too.
It said in 2021, 117 million people listen to podcasts on a monthly basis, according 40% of all internet users. Wow. Okay.
According to Amplify and Pod News, 44% of podcasts have less than 3 episodes.
Yeah, this is interesting because this one says that Sweden is number 1 for podcasting, But so that one said that how much has less than 3 episodes?
This is from January 4th, 2023. Podcast statistics. This is podcastpage.io. 44% of podcasts have less than 3 episodes. Only 720,000 podcasts have more than 10 episodes. They also share that out to...
How many have more than 200? Or how many have more than 150?
Yeah, that can't be a lot. So... But yeah, it's pretty wild.
Love it, man.
Pretty wild shit.
So,
You know what's another wild shit statistic? Not recording to podcasts?
cars.
How much do you think in 2023, what do you think the average monthly car payment is?
In 2023?
Well, I guess, okay. 2022 going into 2023. Right now. This moment right now. Wherever we are.
I don't know. 500-600?
Close. $700.
Is that owning a car or leasing a car?
That is buying a car.
Financing a car.
They said like the average was like $40,000. And then it comes out to like $700 a month. If you get a used car, it's like $525 a month.
Yeah, that's what mine is, $500 a month.
Bro, who the fuck is paying $700 a month for a car?
Dude, I know people that are paying $700 to lease a fucking car.
Yeah, me too. I've heard stories.
I'm like, leasing a car? I'm like, you don't even fucking own it. You got to give it back at the end.
Bro.
Like, and it's so I can see two different scenarios because I can hear both sides back because some people are all for buying a car and some people are all for leasing a car. Now with the leasing the car, you say, okay, you pay less, right? You have to give the car back.
No equity.
But you get a brand new car every 3 years. You just trade it in, you lease the next one, you get a brand new car. You don't have to worry about like the if a car craps out, blah, blah, blah. You're leasing it, you bring it back in, they take care of the maintenance, right? However, you never actually, like, you're always going to have a car payment. Always. You always have to pay for a car. However, if you buy a car, once your payment is up, that's it. Now the car is yours, and you have for however long you drive the car until it craps out on you, you have no payments.
Yeah.
So that that $500 that you were going to be paying into the car is now into your savings
Money
or
in the bank.
into investments or whatever. However, some people say, well, now you have to keep up with all the maintenance. And what happens if the car craps out? Now you got to go buy another car. So I can see both sides of it. I think the best part is if you only run into that scenario where your car craps out if you don't take good care of your car. If you don't keep up with the oil changes, you don't keep up with the fluid levels, you don't keep up with rotating the tires, you don't keep up with the brakes, if you don't keep up with the maintenance, then at the end of the road, your car is not going to... if you treat the car right, it's going to treat you right.
You're always going to have little bumps in the road with your car, right? No pun intended. But yeah, exactly. You got to be taking care of your car. If you hear the brakes squeaking, you should go as soon as possible. Get the brakes. Don't let it linger for 2 months where it's squeaking, and then...
I've learned the hard way on that.
Yeah.
And next thing I know, I had bent rotors. I had to get the rotors done.
Yeah, you just got to do it.
Which should have just been a couple $100 turned into over $1,000.
Sick. Yeah, so I unfortunately had to lease a car, and I think I'm paying a lot leasing a car. So when I had to buy a new car, get a car in this past June, because I previously had a company car, so I didn't have a car payment, and then I got a new job. So I went to a car broker, a guy who I knew, and he was telling me a story about. So when I had a 2014 Lincoln MKZ.
Great car. You had a great car. It's nice.
God, I fucking love that car.
I felt like fucking Matthew McConaughey in that car.
I always was like playing with my fingers, driving, just like
you were what?
Playing with my fingers, thinking, driving. I was like, man, this person cuts me off. It's all good, man. It's all good. So for that I had that car. That was a 2014. I bought that in like 2016, right? Bought that in like 2016.
We used the big hoss.
And then I got a company car in 2020. That's nice.
Look at how fucking... You see that?
It's red.
Holy shit. We got this tabletop lighter that is dangerously light.
So sick. So my monthly payment for that, and that was a car I bought, $300 a month. And I thought that was ideal. I honestly thought it was a little bit high, but I was like, all right, it's a Lincoln. It's only a couple years old. I think I got it with like 20-something thousand miles on it.
And you were paying $3-something?
Paying $300 a month for it.
$3 bills.
Sick.
3 bones.
So then I got engaged, and I was like, I need more money. So I was like, oh, I can get a company car, so let me just sell my car, cash out on that. Then
Psych.
I switched careers, and I was like, fuck, no more company car.
Yeah, and they're like, fuck, I wish I would have my Lincoln.
Yeah, I was like, fuck, we're in the middle of a fucking pandemic. Fuck, we're in the middle of a fucking recession.
Fuck,
we're in the middle
fuck.
this is the worst time to buy anything. Fuck me, right?
Is this line for the bathroom? Fuck me, right?
Fuck me, right? So yeah, I went to a car broker, and I was like, listen, I can, trying to pay like $300 a month, 4-door sedan, all-wheel drive. I don't need anything crazy, whatever. Just need a car to A to B. He's like, listen, man, I'll tell you right now, you ain't gonna get that. And I was like, fuck. I'm like, what are we looking at?
Fuck me.
And he's like, it depends. And he's like, so he came back to me and was like, fucking $500 for a fucking Toyota Camry. A lease. 15,000 miles a year. I'm in sales. I'm driving. So I'm like,
that's fucking stupid.
And I was like, are you fucking kidding me?
Because, like, so perfect example, I pay $500 for my Jeep Grand Cherokee.
Yeah, that's a truck.
And I own it.
That's perfect. So I was like, fuck, man, I'm not to pay $500 for a fucking Camry. This is bullshit. So then he was telling me, he was like, listen, and I'm buddies with him because we go to the gym. And he's like, listen, you know those Nissan Muranos? Those ugly looking cars? I'm like, yeah. He goes, I just put someone in there for $750 a month. I go, what?
I remember you telling me this story.
Yeah, I'm
That's
like,
stupid.
I was like,
stupid.
how did you have the balls to tell him that? And he goes, I was so scared. But you know what? He was ecstatic when I told him because the dealership was offering him $820 a month. And I'm like, who in their right mind is okay with paying
$820 a month? That means with insurance, you're paying $1,000 for a fucking Murano.
Exactly. You don't got a G-Wagon. Huh? You don't got a fucking Beamer. You're a Nissan Murano. Dude. So whatever. I went to a family member who was in the car business, and I was like, listen, this is what I'm about to do. Is there anything else you can do for me? So he ended up getting me a Hyundai for a little bit cheaper, but still, I'm like,
and you have a nice car.
It is a nice car.
It's a nice ride.
It drives nice. It's got all the bells and whistles, but like, I like trucks. I like Jeeps.
Yeah, you gotta go to Jeep, man. Next car should be a Jeep.
But I'm like, fuck. I'm like,
my wife's friend just got a new Jeep Grand Cherokee, the 2023 Jeep Grand Cherokee. Nice looking car.
It's the best, bro.
I love Jeeps. I don't think I'm always gonna get Jeeps. I think they're the best. I think they're the best SUV out there. The best all around because you can.
They were made for the blue collar man.
It's like I love it's classy where it's white with the tan interior. It's got all the bells and whistles, the heated seats. It's got heated rear seats, heated steering. It's got all the stuff in it, which pretty much every car does. But it's got a little bit of power, right? Classy car. You get a nice cleaned out and everything. You can take it out to a nice restaurant, right? But if I want to go snowboarding and go up the mountain on the fucking snow, no problem.
And that's why I like my Lincoln.
You want to put the seats down in the back and throw everything in the back and go road tripping?
Do it.
No problem. Throw something on the top? No problem.
And that's why I love my Lincoln, because you would never think of Lincoln as like a, not off-roading car, but the first year that I bought it, we had a huge snowstorm and I just started a new job. It was a huge snowstorm, and I'm driving this car, and it was feet of snow in parking lots and shit, and I'm driving through it.
No problem.
And it was bulldozing through shit. I would get stuck for a little bit.
I can see you bulldozing.
I'm back and forth, and I'm like, fuck, I'm going to be stuck. And then boom, right through. I'm like, fuck. And the guy who I was working, he's like, what car is this? I'm like, a Lincoln MKZ. He's like, my Explorer is barely getting through. How the fuck? I'm like, hell yeah. So shout out to Lincoln. But that was my little rant about cars. I couldn't believe people were average paying $700 a month.
Unfucking believable.
So that's just going to do it. We're going to cut it here.
Yeah, that's
finish our bourbon, finish our cigar.
Yeah.
Got our giveaway tonight.
We do.
So if you like this episode, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell so you get notified every single time we drop a new video, a new short, a new podcast.
Yeah, check out the shorts. We've been really stepping up our short game.
We've been stepping up our short game.
Yeah, it's all about the short game, man. Listen, I'm a golfer. It's all about the short game.
It is. Okay. 100%.
Drive for show and you putt for dough. Okay.
Drive for show, putt for dough. I like that.
It's like, dude, I'm telling you, it's all about the short game. What's his name says, I forgot who it was. I think it was John Daly. He's like, listen, everybody can fucking drive the ball. What do you do from 150 yards in?
Facts.
He goes, what do you do with a wedge in your hand when you're out the bunker, you're just off the green, you got a putt? Like, what do you do from that? Everybody can fucking hit the ball off the tee. It's easy. You tee it up, you got a huge ass fucking face. Everybody can do that. What do you do when you're like 70 yards in and you don't have a perfect club that swings 7 and you got to do a half of it? What do you do from that?
That's factual, my
That's
friend.
why if you look at all the pros, they're fucking throwing darts.
It's all about that short game. Baby.
Anyway, so that's
check out the YouTube shorts.
Yeah, check out the website, burndownpodcast.com.
That's right.
Be on, check out all of our accessories. Okay, we got all these accessories, cutters, lighters, ashtrays, travel cases, hats, T-shirts. We got all this stuff.
That's it.
Okay.
That's it. Become a member, burndownpodcast.com, 15% off the blueprint, exclusive discounts to partnering stores, and monthly giveaways, cigar, spirits, and more. Thank you guys and gals for watching. Thank you guys and gals for listening. And as always, we'll see you on the next one. Cheers. Chin chin. Salud.